So tonight we welcome John Boutté and Gwen Tompkins, and I'm going to tell you just a short bit about John, and then I'm going to let Gwen tell you a whole lot more. John is a celebrated interpreter of the American Songbook, who rose to national attention when one of his own melodies became the theme to the HBO series Treme. Yay. His repertoire includes contemporary classics and popular music, as well as traditional jazz and gospel, much of which you will hear this evening. Over a 20-year career, he's performed across the U.S. and Europe and released a number of solo albums, a handful of which are for sale in the back for a cool $20, including Jambalaya, Good Neighbor, and All About Everything. He has also recorded with Cubanissimo, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, John?
I think so.
Okay. And the funk band Galactic. Joining him tonight is Gwen Tompkins, NPR contributor and host of Music Inside Out, which airs on WWNO. Take it away, Gwen.
Thank you. And thank you so much for your patience. You have a little island here, but it has lots of obstacles. And we also wanted to thank Stan and Eva.
Yes.
They've just been wonderful at the Land's End Inn. They might actually recognize a bit of their own their own hotel equipment here. I swiped it from the room, but I will give it back. We'll give it back. Exactly, we have busted ourselves. But John and Todd and I are all from New Orleans, and we're thrilled to be here. It's, I think, my first time in Provincetown. Have you been
My
before?
first time also.
First time in Utah? So we're newbies.
It's beautiful.
And so what we'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about, what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about New Orleans. This is the place we come from. It's the culture we're bringing to you. You're already familiar with quite a lot of it, but you know, if they're paying me, I might as well continue to tell you what's going on right down there. So I'm going to read a little bit, but it's pretty loose. And because we're talking about music, there's just no way that you can talk about music without hearing music. So we're going to do all of that at the same time, and then I will recede from the stage, and John and Todd will take it away. You see. So here we go. We're going to start. New Orleans is the northernmost capital of the Caribbean. It's the gateway to the Mississippi River. It's the most interesting attraction on Highway 61. Mm-hmm. You can ask Bob Dylan about that. New Orleans is also the most spectacular cultural vista along Interstate 10, which spans the southern reaches of the United States all the way from California to Florida and back. Millions of African slaves passed through the port, as did the French, the Spanish, the Germans, the Haitians, the Sicilians, the Choctaws, the Chickasaws, the Homos, and anyone else on the planet who scratched an itch to go someplace like no place else in the world. New Orleans meant freedom, it meant fortune, and it meant a whole lot of fun. And that's why we're here tonight. New Orleans has informed nearly every American music form: jazz, blues, gospel, rock and roll, R&B. The first opera house in North America was reportedly built in the French Quarter. And if you listen to Fats Domino long enough, you're going to hear the beginnings of ska and reggae. So what is it about New Orleanians that translates to such vibrant music? Well, the short answer is the ears. It's our ears, right? We listen to each other. And the first jazz musician / historian was a banjo player and guitar player called Danny Barker. He was born in 1909, not long after Louis Armstrong, with whom he played. And this is one of his earliest memories. He says, "One of my pleasantest memories as a kid growing up in New Orleans was how a bunch of us kids playing would suddenly hear sounds. It was like a phenomenon, like the aurora borealis. The sounds of men playing would be so clear, but we wouldn't be sure where they were coming from. So we'd start trotting, start running. It's this way, it's that way. And sometimes, after running for a while, you'd find you'd be nowhere near that music. But that music could come on you any time like that. The city was full of the sounds of music. He's talking about brass band parades. And you know what Danny Barker heard back at the beginning of the 20th century, the 1900s, it's probably sounded a lot like this. I'm going to play some for you. If you can name this tune, I'm going to give you $100. Okay. All right. Can we turn up the... No! I will keep my money in my pocket.
They stole it. They stole it, but it's not Rock Around the Clock.
Okay, did anybody? Close.
Close
That's
to the
very
second
close.
line.
Paul Barberand's Second Line is one of the most famous songs coming out of New Orleans.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's not the song that we just heard. The song we just heard is called Joe Avery's Blues, right?
Yep.
And I tell you that anybody who's been to New Orleans has likely heard that song. Right. And it's a song that John Boutté remembers very well.
Yep.
Boutté is from that part of New Orleans where so many of the city's musicians are from, and his organic approach to music pushes tradition forward in unexpected ways. Joe Avery's Blues is a precursor to a ditty that Boutté wrote about his neighborhood. And years later, that ditty became this. All right, let me see if I can get it for you. Okay, we don't need to hear John singing on an iPod. We've got John sitting right here, okay? But make it a mental note. Write a song about your neighborhood, okay? Because one day, David Simon might call you and cha-ching, okay? So, but you know, Boutté's repertoire also includes, as Kirsten said, his interpretations from the American Songbook, Brazilian and Cuban music, and just about any tune that captures his fancy. So please welcome John Boutté. And the handsome stranger next to him, that's Todd Duke. Todd Duke. Now, so John, when you hear Joe Avery's Blues, what memories does that conjure for you? Why is that song so important to you?
Well, one of the memories that it conjures is walking to school and passing Mr. Barberand's house every morning, you know, and he...
Was that Isidore Barberand or Paul Barberand?
Paul and Isidore, they both lived on New Orleans Street in the 7th Ward, right? And there was some mean dogs that would run us every, you know, when we were either going swimming in the summer or on our way to school. And but Mr. Barberand, both of the brothers, would be out there, you know, just, you know, working in their yards, having their coffee, and they'd wave at us and say, "Make sure you go to school." Da 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 da. You know, we never really knew the influence they had on American music. I just knew them as some old men in a neighborhood, right?
Right, and the Barberands are part of one of the most storied clans, musical clans in New Orleans. Paul Barberand, of course, was the great drummer who played with Louis Armstrong.
Right, and his brother also played drums.
That's right.
And his grandson, Lucian, plays with Preservation Hall and
Harry Connick Jr.
Connick Jr. and several other bands, and you know, just have a really big musical family, and they've kept the tradition going on for generations, you know. And another thing that really struck me about them, they always were well kept. You know, these guys were always like, you know, dressed to the nines, you know. And also I worked as a banker, and I had privy to their accounts, you know. When you see these old men walking in buying, you know, $100,000 CDs, you know, I'm like, wait a minute, you know, what do you?
That's
wow.
all on the trombone?
Right, exactly. You know, so they managed their money well, but they lived extremely humble, and just stayed in the neighborhood. You know,
Exactly.
they didn't, you know, they didn't show off.
They
in
didn't
the
show
same
off.
way as Fats. You know, Fats lives in a. I mean,
Fats
they had
Domino.
they had to rescue Fats Domino out of his house in the night ward when the levees failed in 205 because he refused to leave. You know, and he built this fabulous, like ranch-style home there, right, with a piano roof in this little nondescript neighborhood, man, that used to be like farms.
It's true. It's, I mean, it is a town where you just never know who you're going to run into when you turn a corner. And it could, you know, for many years, it could have been Fats, or it could have been Paul Barbaran, you know, who's the one who played so well with Louis Armstrong, and wrote one of the great second line songs, you know. But, you know, a lot of what these men have in common is that they're Creole men. They come from big, fat Creole families.
Right, really big fat Creole.
No, they're thin men from big, fat families, right?
Right, they're right.
Yeah, and so, you know, so they come from the 6th Ward, many of them, which is Treme.
Right.
They also come from the 7th Ward
Yep.
and all. And so you come from a big, fat Creole American family, don't you?
Absolutely. I'm number 8 out of 10, you know, and
Can you say all their names in one breath?
yes.
Let's hear it.
Well, I'll do the girls first. It's Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, and Lenora. And then there's Anthony, Emmanuel, John, and Peter, all saints.
And so were your parents musicians?
No way, man. You know what? That was the last thing they wanted me to do. Although my father had perfect pitch and he would whistle this tune, I never saw him and my mother have a bad day. It really had me confused. You know what I'm saying? But every now and then I'd hear him whistle this tune and he'd go, what is that, right? So I don't think I can give you the lyrics because we're being filmed.
Can you give us a
But it says,
PG version?
yes, it says, kiss my la la la, kiss my la la la. If you don't like what I do, then kiss my la la la. Right, and I really was. I honestly, you know, I thought I had a storied upbringing, man, because I didn't know I was poor. Didn't have any kind of means until I graduated from college, right? You know, and then I realized what money was, right? But we never had to worry about money, never had to worry about anything, you know. We had lots of love and lots of attention and just a great family, man, you know. And, you know, my mom and dad, I asked them one day, my dad had come in from fishing, and this is one of my favorite stories, right? He came in from fishing, and I was sitting there reading the newspaper, and he never drank much, but when he fished, he would like to have beer. So he was buzzed, and he was sitting there, and he said, "What you got to eat, Gloria?" She said, "Meatballs and spaghetti." I said, "Meatballs and spaghetti, meatballs and spaghetti," right, you know? And I'm reading the paper, right? "That's all you got." And all of a sudden, she dropped the F-bomb on him, right? And this is, you know, look, my mother, I never heard anything like that come out of her mouth. So I'm reading the paper, man, and I'm like, what? And she just started laughing. She couldn't stop laughing. And my dad looked, he said, she's been talking to me like that for 45 years. So they kept, you know, if they had any arguments, if they had any disagreements, they kept it to themselves. We never saw any conflict. And, my mother was she was the strong arm, but not my father, right? Because my dad worked. So if the kids cut up, she never used the psychological torture of wait till daddy gets home, right? You know, you're waiting, oh God, you know, what he's gonna do. You know, she just immediately cracked you on the behind, to let you know she was disappointed, and that's how it went, you know. So they were really smart, you know. They were really smart folks.
Exactly. Now, you have a sister, though, Lillian Boutte, who is a jazz singer, gospel singer as well, and all. And she, what was her influence on you in terms of your musical tastes and maybe even your direction in life?
Well, you know, Lillian used to sneak into the clubs. Lillian and Lynette were the two bad seeds. I can say that. Lillian and Lynette, really, you know, all of us would try, you know, to please my mom and dad. Lillian and Lynette, they were just the wild children, man. They were out there, you know. And Lillian would go to the Devil's Dungeon and, you know, Smitty's and all these different little clubs, and she'd be singing, you know, R&B at these clubs, you know. But later on in life, she started working with Alan Toussaint, and I must have been about 14 years old. And I wanted to, you know, I had played music since I was 8, so I was interested in musicians and the music and the studios, so I would just hang on to her, you know, her coattail and go to the studio with her and watch her, you know, and watch Alan, the way he worked with his band, and just, you know, I said, you know, this could be really cool. But one of the things that the Creoles believe, you could play music, but you better have a real job, you know. So you had to be a mason, a carpenter, a bricklayer, you know, a painter, or, you know, a doctor, a lawyer, Indian chief, whatever it is. But music could not be your main focus, no way, you know. So I studied business in school, and ROTC, I went to, you know.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
Yeah.
But, you know, one thing about Lillian Boutte that I noticed is that, A, you do sing on some of her records.
Yes.
And then also, there are songs that she's recorded that you sing in your set in New Orleans, actually. I'm going to play one of them. All right?
And before you do that, I have to tell you that she always says, that's my song.
Okay, here's one of her songs. All right.
But I know, actually, you know, it's funny because she always would say, that's my song, right? And I said, you didn't write it. So, with that in mind, can you do that?
Yeah. Yeah. About that tempo? Or?
Wherever you want to put it. Yeah, put it at tempo. A bird with feathers or blue is waiting for you back in your own backyard. You'll find your castles in Spain through your window pane, right in your own backyard. You can go to the east, go to the west, someday you come weary at heart, right where you started from. You'll find your happiness lies right under your eyes, back in your own backyard. sister's key. That was actually my sister's key.
But you know, on the 10-year anniversary of Katrina, actually, that was last year, you sang that song.
Right.
You made a point of singing that song, and why was that?
Because, you know, everybody was ready to run away, right? They were all ready to run away. I have to just first state that Katrina never, listen up, guys, Katrina never hit New Orleans. How many of y'all know that? See that? I knew you were going to say, he's lying. He's lying. It hit Mississippi. The federal levees failed and flooded our city. I was living in a house that my great-grandfather built, right? Older than some of the houses, about the same age, I guess, as some of the houses around here. Didn't lose a shingle, didn't have a window broken, or anything else. Do you see what happened on the Gulf Coast in Mississippi? It hit Mississippi. Trust me, it hit Mississippi. It didn't hit us. I was in Sao Paulo, Brazil. I called my partner and said, hey, get out, get out, get out, get out. He says, get out for what? I said, because it's, you know, it's flooding. It says, people walking their dogs on a levee. What are you talking about? You know, I just came from the bar next door. I'm like, okay, well, then an hour later, the levees broke.
Yeah.
And that's what flooded New Orleans.
And so when you talk about people wanting to go, wanting to leave, you mean right after the storm?
Well,
right after the flood?
I think they wanted, you know, you saw what we were faced with when we got back. Mm-hmm. It was like a bad UPS commercial because everything was brown. I mean, I'm literally everything. The trees were, some of the trees were snapped, you know, and they had the ugly water line, you know.
On every building.
On every building, every building. It smelled. In fact, I used to keep a scarf and sprayed cologne on it to ride through the neighborhoods because it was worse than Calcutta, the favelas in Sao Paulo, Brazil. You know, but one thing I knew was that we could come out of it. We weren't going to be stuck there. And as I was leaving Brazil, my heart broke not only for the New Orleanians, but the people I saw there who I knew they were stuck. They're not getting out. That's how they're living, you know. But so I just wanted to say, don't run away, man. Just look out your own window and see that, you know, we have a lot going here in New Orleans, and we needed people to come and, you know, I was just trying to recruit folks to get back. I think I did too good of a job.
Maybe you did. Maybe you did. It's true. I mean, you became something of a truth teller in the city, and you. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, but among the ruins, I mean, your career soared after Katrina, in large part. Well, because of your talent, but also because you were willing to say things out loud that other people were thinking. And which is a tricky thing. I mean, you went to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival shortly after the storm. You mocked the President of the United States.
I certainly did, and I also got the IRS the first time they. Actually, I sang.
You were audited?
I wasn't audited, but very close. They sent me the letters, right? And I'm like, really? I'm a poor jazz musician. You know, and you're checking on me. So I got straight, trust me.
But the thing is, there's for many artists, I mean, there is sort of a line that they make for themselves. They'll talk about what's bothering them, what's concerning them in terms of social issues, politics, religion, spirituality, whatever. But then beyond that line, they will not go. Do you have a line like that?
Maybe. Actually, people were hurting, when I got back, because the only way I can explain it, because Todd was my right-hand man afterwards. I remember calling him saying, man, we have to get on the road and do some work and, just to make a living, first off. And then I convinced him to come back to New Orleans. He was in Chicago, I think, at the time. And, I said, he says, well, what are we going to do? I said, make music. We got to make music. People need the music to heal. And just like this little room, there was just a few people in the audience, and we just played for basically nothing, for tips. But it was a meeting place, because there was no other place you could meet. People's houses, I can't explain it to you other than the fact that, think of it like this. All your friends and relatives, along with 350,000 other people, had like the most toxic water and everything just completely not just come through their house as a flood, but it sat there for 2 weeks. So it soaked, It didn't just flow through like a flood. It soaked for 2 weeks. And trust me, they did not change the soil or anything a lot in New Orleans. There's a lot of things that still aren't right, but...
Right, but then you were playing in a club that, as you say, is about this size in Marigny, right outside the French Quarter. And that club, as you say, became a meeting point for so many locals who were cleaning out their houses and showing up with mold spores on their shoes.
That's right. That's right. The kid, and there were no kids in the city, right? And coming from a family of 10, I wasn't looking for kids, but there were literally no children in the city because there were no schools, right? And they didn't bring the schools back immediately.
Right, but a lot of your songs they covered the gamut of emotions. Right. There was your version of Louisiana in 1927, the great Randy Newman song, in which you mocked the president and, of course, the then head of FEMA.
I don't know how that came out.
I don't know how that came out either.
That,
but then you also... But then you also were very tender in many of your songs because you knew those people were hurting. Oh, yes. And all. And then you also had a little bit of anger that you demonstrated when you would do with this wonderful Stevie Wonder song.
Yeah. We did.
What was that called?
This is it. And the audience will know it. We are amazed but not amused by all the things you say that you do. Though much concerned and not involved with decisions that are made by you. And we are sick and tired of hearing your song, telling us how you're gonna change right from wrong. Well, if you really want to hear our views, you haven't done nothing. And I hear the audience go doo-doo-wop. Doo-doo-wop, hey, doo-doo-wop, na-na-na, baby, doo-doo-wop, oh, doo-doo-wop, yeah, doo-doo-wop, doo-doo-wop. There you go. Because, as you know, everybody was showing up. It was like everybody had to have their FaceTime in New Orleans. The politicians, the actors, et cetera, would show up, and I was trying to be kind to most of them. One of my favorite moments was when Dick Cheney was there in the Night Ward.
And, in the Night Ward?
In the Night Ward. And
he made it out.
Well, he did. And there were two friends of mine who are emergency room doctors, right? and they were holding up all this traffic, and these guys were trying to get to people out who needed help, and they couldn't get to it, and all of a sudden, and you hear this, and I bet you can find that online. You heard this one doctor say, "Hey, Dick Cheney, go yourself." What? Oh, who's that?
Now that's real Southern
I was like-
hospitality.
So yeah, there was a lot of anger, man. I mean, how can you not be mad? You know, and
But over the duration, though, as the years wore on, I mean,
got mad.
you know what I mean, you become philosophical, and that was always your forte. I mean, New Orleans is full of barflies who are very philosophical, but you know what I mean, you were an exception in the sense that people looked to you because they sensed some kind of spirituality in you.
they wanted me every week. You know, it was like church, and I stopped going to church at 15. So I told my mom, "Don't wake me up for that anymore." And she was like, "Cool," So, but it was where people could come and we could laugh, we could cry, we could, plan, see what was going on. We could organize, and it was really incredible.
It was.
It was a special time.
It was, and it lingered, and some of that feeling still exists,
Yes,
I think.
absolutely.
But there's something about the city, the city's spiritual side, in that, New Orleans is predominantly Catholic, but it's Mediterranean Catholic, which means that it's both spiritual and a little naughty. Which, kind of is, you kind of embody those traits, actually. I would call you spiritual and naughty. And maybe just a soupçon of profane, right?
Oh, yeah.
And but you actually recorded a wonderful cover of a Mahalia Jackson song. This is on your Jambalaya album. Yes. And so, the thing about Mahalia Jackson is that she was neither Catholic nor, from what we know as journalists, particularly naughty. So how did you get to Mahalia Jackson? Lillian, your sister?
Lillian, but next door, when I was growing up, there was a bass drummer with a brass band, the Eureka Brass Band.
Yeah, that's who we just heard, actually, who
That's-
did Joe Avery's Blues.
That was Louis Armstrong's brass band.
That's right.
So Mr. Glass had, his woman was Miss Bell. I was kind of confused there, right? So Mr. Glass would go over to Miss Bell's house, I thought he lived there. Basically, I thought they were married, but later on I found out, it was
It was
different.
a Mediterranean wedding.
Exactly. But Miss Glass, my mother was a great cook, but Miss Glass was from Mississippi, and when she was cooking greens, they smelled so good. And every Sunday morning, she'd have Mahalia blasting on the radio, along with this sanctified church that was right next to our backyard that, I tell you what, man, they'd be jumping in there like the roof was gonna fall off, And my mom would say, "All right, y'all gotta get in, don't listen to that."
And so what was her song, the Jackson song is...
Don't cost very much.
It don't cost very
That's right.
much.
And-
Do y'all remember that song? Did you ever listen to Mahalia Jackson? She was the best.
It goes like this. Smile when you're happy, oh, smile when you're sad. To be pleasing when mistreated, to be forgiven when you're mad, to be forgiven when the world abuses you. You know the good Lord, He looks for such. And if you live right each day, smiling on your way, it don't cost much. To the blind man, give him glasses. To the cripple, a crutch, a piece of bread. To a world that hungers, a loving hand can do so much. To the oppressed, join in our struggle. The good Lord, He looks for such. And if you live right each day, smiling on your way, No, no, it don't. It don't cost very much to place a gentle touch. You got to give a glass of water to a pilgrim in need of such. Well, you might not be an angel. You know, you may not go to church. The good that you do will come back to you, and it don't cost, no, 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 not very much, no, no. So I kind of like, I like Jesus-free gospel,
You know, Susan Stamberg from NPR, she used to call a lot of gospel music love songs to Jesus.
Yeah, I understand, but you know what? I like tunes that really have the words really, they mean something, and it doesn't cost much, it doesn't cost you anything to be nice, man, we have a great saying in New Orleans, and this guy, he's a folk artist, he puts it up everywhere. It says, "Be nice or leave." I mean, it's simple as that, man. It doesn't, you don't cause any myrations, like Dr. John would say, right?
Exactly. Boy. Well, New Orleans, it's sort of an insular place, and well, we mentioned a little bit about the clans, the musical clans. There's so many of them, the Batistes, the Barbarans, the Marsalises, the Lasties, the Brooks, all of these families, it's extraordinary how close they are, how much they intermarry, and how much music they have put into the world, And, but the thing about it is that a lot of artists who are born and raised in New Orleans, they tend to leave. They're nice, but they still leave.
Well, it's the South.
Well, they're looking for opportunity. So Mahalia Jackson, she left. Louis Armstrong left. Wynton and Branford Marsalis left. Harry Connick Jr. left. And so, did you ever think about leaving for good?
Not for bad. Well, actually, one of the reasons I stayed in Louisiana and New Orleans in particular was family. You want to be around your family. But I always pose that question to my mother and father, why? Why did you guys stick around? I would have ran out like my head was on fire. As a young man in the 40s and, 50s in New Orleans, there's no way, and I can still remember, I'm 57, and I can remember my grandaunt would take us on the bus, and she was whiter than anybody in this room. Trust me. She really was, right? And she would sit in the back of the bus with us, right? In the bus stop. I remember clearly one day, we were going up to Canal Street, and the bus driver stopped the bus and told her, "Ma'am, you don't have to sit back here. You should come up front." She said, and she looked at him. She said, "I'm sitting here with my children," and he just shut up, And so that's it. There's some beautiful things in Louisiana, but we have a real dark side too.
It's true, and yet you stayed.
I stayed because, I figure, when it's a good fight, you shouldn't run away. You should, try and land a couple of punches before you run. Just, you really should.
Yeah. But the city will always claim you, even if you do leave. That's the joy of
well,
it.
And now,
There's a long memory.
I'm not living in New Orleans proper anymore,
No, you have absconded from New Orleans, actually.
Well, I wrote the Trimmy song, and then they outpriced me out of the Trimmy. Right, so it was all about economics, and also not only economics, but I my ears needed rest. Because, okay, say like, if, I don't know if any of you guys live here, but wherever you may live, if your neighbor starts construction, then you have to live with that until they're finished. You know, you got to just be kind about it and deal with it. But think about being under construction for 11 years. Jackhammers, saws, and, you know, just, it was a cacophony of not good sounds, you know, that it's just, it was driving me a little crazy, you know, and I was like, I gotta, you know, I was given so much, you know, that all of a sudden I realized, everybody got theirs, and I don't have anything, right? And I was stuck. Mm-hmm. So I lucked out and moved about 30 miles away on the North Shore.
The North Shore of Pontchartrain, Lake
Right,
Pontchartrain.
Lake Pontchartrain, and I have family there. I have 2 sisters, a cousin, and it's a very beautiful area with pine trees and wild magnolias and oaks and live oaks, red oaks, white oaks, and wildlife, and it's just absolutely gorgeous, and it's quiet. It's quiet, man. I hear the birds, 5 o'clock in the morning, the birds wake me up. At night, the crickets and the frogs serenade me to sleep. You know, the light bugs come out, you know, at a certain time. It's just beautiful.
Okay, he sounds really peaceful
I
as he's
am.
saying this. Like, ooh, such a nature boy,
I am
right?
a nature boy.
Okay, but when we were coming in from the shuttle flight yesterday, okay, we're driving in on the taxi. 2 beautiful turkeys cross the road. Okay, John's first what he says is, "Shoot him! Let's shoot him!"
Coming from, look, my father was a barber. He was incredible man. He served in World War II. He was a barber. He was a golfer, right? He golfed. He wanted me to be a golfer, right? And I looked at him. I said, you know, because he'd run us all out on Sundays, right, watching golf. You know, and the kids, we'd just run out of the house because we didn't want to watch golf. And he'd tell me, you know, you can do this. I'm like, do what? He says, you can golf. I said, I know you're golfing. I called him George, you know. I said, I know you're golfing, George. I said, not for me. He says, why not? I said, well, do you see any brown faces on that golf course? Other than the guys who are pulling the bags. I don't even pull your bag, Daddy, right? He says, this is going to change. I say, when? Yesterday? So, but now, you know.
But now you golf.
I golf and
You totally golf.
I golf and I
And
own
do
a
you
golf
shoot
course.
birds?
No. Oh yeah, I do shoot. Well, you know what? That's another thing. I grew up in a house. My father fished and he hunt to supplement the 10 kids, you know. And when he'd come back from fishing, man, he'd have so much fish he would feed the neighborhood, or he'd get venison, he'd feed the neighborhood, or whatever it was, right? If it was too much for us, he'd go to other family members and he'd spread it out. And he kept a gun cabinet right in the hallway, right after the living room was a gun cabinet. And my mother's rule to him simply was, if she ever caught that gun cabinet unlocked, she was going to shoot him. And he always taught us gun safety, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, I do hunt, you know, I do hunt and I fish, and I like doing that kind of stuff, you know. Because, I mean, you know, guess what? If you're going to eat meat, you have to know where it's coming from. You know, some people, we're so sophisticated now, you know, we want our food served to us on a plate. But, you know, I know how to cook it. I know how to catch it, scale it, gut it, cook it, and eat it, you know, and serve it, you know. So you have to be able to do that to really have a sense of what food is really worth, you know.
Well, you know, almost every New Orleans musician is worth his or her salt can cook.
Oh, yes.
Right? Everybody that I can think of, actually. And You know, I mean, one of the best cooks, okay, was Fats Domino, right? Whose family came from a town called Vacherie, Louisiana, which in French means cow pen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I told you my French was bad.
And they cut cane for a living.
Right,
You know,
here
they
in-
cut sugar cane.
I think here in De Bartholomew.
Yeah, and so then the family moved to New Orleans to the Lower Ninth Ward, and as you said, Fats Domino never left. I mean, he traveled a lot, obviously,
traveled, right.
but then he retired and he never left town
Never left town.
until he was briefly displaced by the flood, and all. And you know,
And whenever he went out of town on the road, he brought his own red beans and rice. And he went to whatever hotel to the kitchen, and they always gave him the kitchen so he could make his own red beans and rice. That's honestly, right? And most New Orleans, most of the jazz guys, man. In fact, my niece is on the road in Japan right now. And it's funny because she sent a picture of the band members in Japan cooking on a hot plate in one of the Japanese rooms, right? And they say, we're gonna eat good tonight, right?
it's notorious. It really is. But you know, you covered a Fats Domino song on your last album, right? Your last album was called All About Everything, which is kind of what this conversation is, all about everything, right? But this is a great song because it kind of marries your sort of spiritual ideas as well as it has a nice kind of Fats groove to it.
That was written by Dave Bartholomew also.
Dave Bartholomew was the great partner of Fats Domino, not romantically, okay, but they were a great songwriting duo. In fact, he was the one who wrote Blue Monday. Dave Bartholomew.
Right.
He's still alive.
And he never left New Orleans.
He never left New Orleans.
And he's still in the same place.
That's true. He's
Right.
in my neighborhood.
Right, exactly.
And he's in his early 90s, I believe.
And he sold more records, Fats and them sold more records than Elvis.
No.
No?
He sold more records than Jerry Lee Lewis, Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Carl Perkins combined.
Wow.
Yes.
Well,
but
that's
not
close
more
enough.
than Elvis. However, Elvis, Elvis always ceded to Fats Domino.
Oh, yeah,
He said,
absolutely,
That's
absolutely.
the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what made you want to take on Fats Domino?
Well, everybody does like I'm Walking or Blueberry Hill, and it was actually Dave who, I think, if I can remember correctly, came up and said, well, here's an obscure tune that we did a long time ago that nobody does.
Really? So he approached you?
Well, I actually was asking, I think it was his 90th birthday party or whatever, something like that, that I had sang at, and he mentioned this tune, and this is the reason why we did it.
What's it called?
Is it No No? By the way, everybody has no on their lips, so don't ask, just do it, okay? Well, I went to the river, turned around, because I didn't want to drown. Oh, oh. No. Well, the water was cold, but it didn't satisfy my soul. Well, I went to the river once before, but no, I won't do that no more. Oh. No. You see, the water was cold, but it didn't satisfy my soul. You can tell my mama, tell my wife, change my mind, not gonna take my life. Oh. No. Well, the water was cold, but it didn't satisfy my soul. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do that tune was when the levees did fail, I encouraged everybody by phone. Miraculously, my phone worked in New Orleans. Nobody's phone worked. Mine's did. And I told everybody go to the river. And they were like, are you crazy? There's water at the river. But the river and the lake were actually, the levees were built up so high that that's why the French Quarters and also parts of
And uptown New Orleans.
uptown and also anywhere around the lakefront,
Well, yeah, in certain
certain parts of the lakefront,
Yeah.
the eastern parts of the lakefront, those houses didn't receive any water.
It's true. Once the levee goes by the river, it's over. It's just over.
yeah.
Forget FEMA. Forget the President of the United States. Nobody's going to fix anything.
Nothing.
Yeah,
It's
that's
done.
That's true. So always go to the river. You're right.
Yeah, go to the river.
But didn't you want to change the lyrics to that song?
I can't remember.
Yeah, you were like, it was something about you did suicide. It was the I didn't want
Right. I didn't want to draw. It was the line that says, "You can tell my mother, you can tell my wife, I've changed my mind. I'm not gonna
Take my
my life."
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? If anybody ever says that, I checked out on my own, have somebody investigate that, okay? Because.
But they didn't want you to change it. In fact,
No,
they
they-
impressed
they-
upon you.
they-
You may
right.
not change the lyrics to that song.
Because a lot of people gave up. I mean, we lost a lot of people. It was such a massive undertaking to come back and, try and rebuild our lives. It wasn't easy at all.
But I think Mr. Bartholomew actually encouraged you not to change the lyrics to that song.
I figured, he wrote it, and I better be true to his lyrics. I wasn't going to try and change any of his stuff.
Exactly.
It's Dave Bartholomew.
But you are fairly omnivorous. I mean, you do borrow from the New Orleans canon, but then also obviously you write your own songs, and you borrow from lots of other people. I mean, you interpret Leonard Cohen songs, you interpret Annie Lennox songs, you interpret Iris DeMent songs, you interpret Sam Cooke songs, Nat King Cole. And all. How did your ears get so big? They look normal to me.
Well, I think it's the lyrics, To me, it's really about the lyrics, and if that song, like for instance, the tune "Why,"
Right, Annie Lennox.
and the Lennox's tune "Why" was just so powerful, man. I couldn't sing the song without really getting over emoting myself, and people don't come out to see you cry. They want to hear you sing, so
Unless you're Jacques Brel, then you can cry, right?
so it's like it's a thin line, it's like a racehorse that really wants to get loose, and you just have to hold back on those reins just enough, that it would win a race, but not, just break a leg or something going too fast, So, yeah, Annie Lennox, and another one was Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah. When I heard that, man, I was just, wow. And someone, Mark Bingham, the producer, pitched me that song for my Foot of Canal Street record, but Leonard was singing it. And I was like, who is this? And I don't understand what he's saying, So I didn't really get it. And then later on, I listened to the words, and the words just cut right through me. I was like, wow.
Was it that Jeff Buckley version?
No, I had never heard Jeff Buckley.
Really?
I listened to Leonard's version.
Again?
Again, I said, what the hell is he saying? I can't make it out. And to be honest with you, fast forward a couple of years, or go back 3 years, and I literally spent I spent $225 to go to a Leonard Cohen concert.
Sweet.
That's right, and I don't spend that kind of money to hear musicians. But he was fabulous. He was incredible. And, this is a guy who is almost 80 years old, and still just so powerful, you know.
So emotive.
Yes, him, Al Jarreau, or another performer that really moved me, Stevie Wonder. But I like the lyrics, the words. It's always, you know, if the words don't make any sense, I just rather not do it.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember once interviewing Alan Toussaint, the great producer, who unfortunately passed away last year, unexpectedly passed away while touring. And I asked him if he sang any of the songs that he'd written for female artists. You know, Irma Thomas
Right.
being the one who I had in mind. You know, It's Raining. And he said that he didn't sing songs that women sang. And I said, but so many artists do. And he said, well, good for them. But you will sing songs that are very much associated with female artists.
Right.
And all, which I don't know if it's rare or not, but how do you feel about this, and how do you embody these songs?
I just feel like the songs have no gender, you know. You know, if it's a woman speaking the truth, or if it's a man speaking the truth, or whatever, you know, the truth is the truth. So, if the lyrics are powerful enough and they move me, you know, I'll do it. You know, I don't think I could do Lover Man, although. You know, you find a lot of jazz guys who, you know, they want to be so straight, and they love to do Someday My Prince Will Come.
Yeah, Miles. Yeah, Miles Davis.
I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Well, there's a yin and there's a yang.
Yeah,
There's a yin and there's a yang. But you know, one song that both you and Alan Toussaint do, and I say this in particular today because today is the day that Alan Toussaint's final album drops.
Really?
Right? Yep.
Wow.
It's an album that's called American Tunes, and it's and he sings the song, the Paul Simon song, American Tune,
Right.
which is a beautiful song.
gorgeous too.
And it's interesting though because you know that's obviously it's not a local song, it's not a New Orleans song, but for some reason it drew you as well as Toussaint. Why do you suppose that song has such a hold on you?
Well, you know, my friend Paul Sanchez, who I write with, introduced me to that tune, and I, at first, melodically, I was like, well, you know, what is he doing, and what is exactly, you know, lyrically, what is he saying? And then it made sense. The whole, you know, once I started really analyzing the tune, I fell in love with it, although I'm struggling to remember the lyrics.
But this is a song in which you did change some of the lyrics.
I did
with all
change,
due respect
of
to Mr.
course,
Simon.
and usually when I change the lyrics, I forget the real lyrics.
Oh no! Oh no! Well, I promised you that I would actually,
You could
if I
help me?
showed you the lyrics,
Okay.
that you would sing the song.
Oh.
Is that fair?
Fair enough.
All right, fair enough. And so this will be, well, after you sing this song, you and I are going to part ways.
No way.
Yeah, I'm going to magically transform into a member of the audience and leave it to you and to Mr. the handsome Mr. Todd Duke. All right, let's see what we got.
Yeah, this tune, the melody is very old. It comes from a Knights Templar hymn, "O Sacred Head Once Wounded," I think. I think that's where he pulled the melody from. You know, I met Paul Simon, too.
Yeah.
He's no bigger than me.
He's no bigger than you?
And he was in boots. I was too, to be fair, okay? But I was, what a songwriter, man, you know, and
Wow.
I was like, he was actually, this past Christmas, he was there for Alan's fundraiser,
For the
for the homeless and the
Yeah.
hungry, that he does every year, and that's something that him and Aaron Neville and Paul Simon it's their project. So I got to at least wave at him. I didn't talk to him,
It's true. He came down and he did a tribute to Alan Toussaint. He brought down his whole band.
Yep.
It was lovely.
Yep.
He's
He's a nice guy.
He's all right.
Nice enough.
All right, but we're talking about music. All right. So here you go. Take it away.
I gotta tell you, I usually do this a cappella, so because Todd likes it that way because he can go get a drink at the bar. I know that's the only reason he never learned this tune. Okay. Many a times I've been mistaken, and many times confused, and I've also been forsaken, and certainly abused. But it's all right, for we've lived so well so long. Still, when I think of the road we're traveling on, I wonder what's gone wrong. You see, sometimes I wonder what's gone wrong. And I don't know a soul that's not been battered. I don't have a friend who feels at ease. Don't know a dream that's not been shattered or driven to its knees. But it's all right, you can't be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. That's all I'm trying, is to get some rest. And I dreamed I was dying, and I dreamed that my soul rose unexpectedly, then looking back down on me, smiled reassuredly. And I dreamed I was flying, and high up above my eyes I could clearly see the Statue of Liberty sailing away to sea. And I dreamed I was flying, and we come on a ship they call the Armistead. We come on a ship that sails the moon. We come in the nation's most uncertain hour, and I sing an American tune. Oh, it's all right, you can't be forever blessed. Still, tomorrow's gonna be another working day, and I'm trying to get some rest. You see, that's all I'm trying, is to get some rest. And by the way, guys, I never played a tambourine until about 12 years ago, after the levees failed, and Todd and I had to go on the road together. And I was like, oh, well, you know, I guess we need a drummer, but we didn't have a drummer. So I picked up this tambourine, and I do play a percussion instrument. I play piano, but I'm gonna be honest with you, this is pretty it's a pretty raggedy tambourine I have here, right? And physically, I realized why I didn't play tambourine, because I had to go back to my Army training and do push-ups every morning, you know, to get my arms in shape. And I'd go home and my legs would be bruised, and, you know, from beating myself up with this silly instrument, you know. So I'm not a drummer. New Orleans has great drummers, but bear with me while I play this thing a little bit. We're gonna do a tune I like to start my sets with, and it's called Muddy Waters. Dixie moonlight, the Swanee shore. I'm headed home bound just once more to my Louisiana penitentiary home. Got a lot of jails there. Southland has got a grand garden spot. Whether you believe or not, well, I hear those trees a whispering. Come on back to me. Muddy waters all around my feet, reeling and rocking to that low down beat. We used to live in such easy comfort way down there. Lord, I do declare, muddy waters all around my shoes, reeling and rocking to them those low down blues. That's God's own shelter, way down on the Delta. Well, I've been away 11 years today to wander and roam, yeah. I don't care if it's muddy there, Lord, you see, still it's my home. I got my toes turned New Orleans way, round the Delta, Lord, please let me lay. My heart cries out for muddy waters. This is a tune that I learned on my cornet when I was 8 years old, and it's a standard in New Orleans. And I usually open my set with this also. This is another one that you might be familiar with. Now won't you come along with me, way down that Mississippi. We'll take a trip to the land of ease, flow down the river down to New Orleans. The bands that'll greet us, old friends to meet us, where the light dark folks meet, way down that river down in New Orleans on Basin Street. That's the street where the elite meet, way down in New Orleans, the land of dreams. You will never know how nice it seems, what it really means, yes sirree. I'm so glad to be where welcomes are dear to me, where I can't lose all of my Basin Street Blues. We eat hot beignets, oysters raw, filet gumbo, catfish coubillon way down in New Orleans, the land of dreams. You will never know how nice it seems, what it really means. Yes, sirree, I'm so glad to be where welcome's dear to me, where I can't lose all of my Basin Street blues. Now, ain't you glad you came with me? We went down that Mississippi. We took a trip to the land of ease, floated down the river down to New Orleans. B flat.
I think it's C.
C, must be C. So here's another tune I love to do. It's a blues, but it's kind of silly and. We got those at home too. Zika, Zika, Zika. Actually, it didn't spray down before I came up, but that's okay. This one's called the Hopscotch Blues, and I love to do this, especially in a mixed audience. All audience are mixed anyway, by the way. Oh, New Orleans is a great big old southern town where hospitality sure enough can be found. The population there, we're mighty, mighty fair. And everything we do, white folks, y'all do it too. They gotta dance and it sure is something rare down there. I'ma say that again. Oh, New Orleans is a great big old southern town where hospitality sure enough can be found. The population there, they're really fair. And everything we do, you know y'all do it too. They gotta dance, it sure is something rare down there. But first you glide, slide, you got to dance. Whoa, 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 prance. The Hopscotch Blues were made to do a lovely shake. We'll look very grand, walking hand in hand. I never get tired of dancing my Hopscotch Blues. That blues side. First you glide, then you slide. You got to dance. Hey, get up and prance. The hopscotch blues were made to do a lovely shake. You look very grand, walking hand in hand. I never get tired dancing my hopscotch blues. This is another tune I love to do, and it's not the blues, and it's I think it's Roger and Hammerstein. Yeah, it is. From South Pacific. And a friend of mine's asked me to do this tune. This young lady who happened to be a Jewish Lakota Indian. I kid you not. So she said, John, you gotta do this tune, you gotta do this tune. I said, okay, you know. You've got to be taught to be afraid of people whose eyes are otherly made, and people whose skin is a different shade. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to hate and to fear. It's got to be drummed in your dear little ear. And it's got to be taught from year to year. You've got to be carefully taught. Oh, you've got to be taught before it's too late, before you are 6 or 7 or 8. To hate all the people your relatives hate. You've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be carefully taught. Southern man, keep your head. Don't forget what your good book said. Southern change is gonna come at last. Now your crosses are burning fast. Southern man, oh, Southern man. I saw cotton and I saw black, tall white mansions and little bitty shacks. Southern man, when will you pay them back? I heard screaming and bullwhips cracking, and how long, how long, how long, how long, Southern man, yeah, 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 a Southern man. Southern man, keep your head. Don't forget what your good book said. Southern change is gonna come at last. Now your crosses are Southern man. Oh, Southern man. Lily Bell, your hair is golden brown, and I seen your black man, he was sneaking round. Swear by God, they're gonna cut him down. I heard screaming and boom, whips cracking. How long? Southern man, yeah, Southern man. Southern man, keep your head. Don't forget what your good book said. Southern chain, gonna come at last. Now your crosses are burning fast. Southern man, let me go away, let me go away, let me go away, let me go away, let me go away. Yeah, Southern man. Yeah. Thank you. So, I know that. Who wrote that? You're young, and it does a little different, But I really like those lyrics, and I was like, I'm a lucky guy because I have a great band. They're not here with me today, but all my band members are band leaders, So it's really nice to have cats who understand the responsibility of being up front and running the band. And unfortunately, they're not here today, but if you're ever in New Orleans and you catch us, man, I'm telling you, we be on fire every Saturday. I'm sure. I don't mean it like that, Todd. You know I don't mean it like that, brother. I'm just saying the fact that lots of the tunes when I learn a tune.
By the way, the band is me and John and 4 horn players.
Yeah, 4 horn players and a bass.
There's a bass player.
And a drummer.
There's a drummer.
Yeah, Herman plays with us occasionally.
Twice a year.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, dude. I forgot what I was going. Oh, no. So this is another tune I was encouraged to do by a friend of mine told me I should do this tune. So, riding on the city of New Orleans, Illinois Central, Monday morning rail, 15 cars, 15 lonely riders. There are 3 conductors 25 sacks of mail. Well, all along the southbound Odyssey, the train pulls out of Kankakee. Then it rolls along past houses, farms, and fields. Passing trains, they've got no name. Freight yards of old black men and graveyards of rusted automobiles. Good morning, America. How are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son, and I'm the train they call the city of New Orleans. And I'll be gone 500 miles before the day is done. Dealing cards with old man in the club car. Oh, penny point ain't none keeping score. Pass the paper bag, hold the bottle. Can't you feel the wheels rumbling neath the floor? Wow, the sons of Pullman porters, the sons of engineers, ride their father's magic carpets made of steel. Mothers with their babes asleep, rocking to the gentle beat. The rhythm of the rails is all they feel. Good morning, America, how are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son, and I'm the train they call City of New Orleans. I'll be gone 500 miles before the day is done. Nighttime on the City of New Orleans. We're changing cars in Memphis, Tennessee. Halfway home, we'll be there by the morning. Through the Mississippi darkness rolling down to the sea. While all the towns and people fade away to a dark dream. Still rails, still ain't heard the news. The conductor sings his song again. Passengers refrain. This train's got the disappeared railroad blues. Good night, America, how are ya? Don't you know me? I'm your native son, and I'm the train they call City of New Orleans. And I'll be gone 500 miles before the day is done. I'll be gone 500 miles before the day is done. And I'll be gone 500 miles before the day is done. So, out of the jazz, we would shoot back into jazz again. I like to, mix it up. There's a tune. Yeah, that's beautiful. Hey, I don't want to mess up the sound man of the. Is it okay if I stand up? Not that you could tell much of a difference, but. Oh, that feels better. This is I wish I would have learned French from my grandmother, but you know, she grew up in a time where they demonized the French language in Louisiana, and they made everybody speak English. And she didn't speak patois. She didn't speak. My family spoke Parisian French 2 generations ago, and that's left in the sand now, you know. But if I did, I would sing this song in French. Which one? I like the thing you were doing earlier. I love this tune because it sounds like a waltz, but it's not a waltz, it's actually in 4/4 time, you know? And I always encourage my audience when they can to get up and, if you have somebody special, you should really get up and shine your buckle on this one, you know? You know what I mean? Although I don't have a buckle today. I shined it right off. The buckle, the belt, everything. Hold me close and hold me fast. This magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs, and though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose. When you press me to your heart, we're in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above, and everyday words turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be La Vie en Rose. Hold me close and hold me fast. This magic spell you cast. This is La Vie en Rose. When you kiss me, heaven sighs. Though I close my eyes, I see La Vie en Rose. When you press me to your heart, we're in a world apart, a world where roses bloom. And when you speak, angels sing from above, and everyday words turn into love songs. Give your heart and soul to me, and life will always be La Vie en Rose. and soul to me, and life will always be la vie en rose. Jeez, how time flies, man. Well, you know what? I'm gonna do a couple of original tunes for you. One of them I wrote about my sisters, Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, and Lenora. I wrote this together with my friend Paul, and because their names were so lyrical, and I figured I could exploit my sisters, so, you know. And when I wrote this tune, I put like a little Latin tinge to it. I had a clave, you know, the Spanish clave to it, right? Because I'm proud of my Iberian Latin heritage, right? And then my baby sister did the genealogy thing, right? And I found out that I'm something like 20, no. I'm Irish. I kid you not. So maybe I'll have to do it with a little Irish twist later. That was a big surprise, okay? That was only the female genome, so you know what I mean? That's when people think, you know, they're pure anything, trust me, you're not. We're all 54 cousins, baby. You know, that's science. I know we're up in Boston, so people will understand science is right. I'm serious. You say that in Louisiana, you get eggs thrown at you. I'm not black. Oh yes, you are sub-Saharan African. I don't care if it's 0.000%. You are, and you can't escape it. You know, I am too. But I'm also 67% European. Isn't that? Couldn't tell, could you? Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, Lenora. My lovely sisters who raised me home, I adore ya. My mother hated that line. I'm gonna tell you, she didn't like that line. She said, your sisters didn't raise you, I raised you. My feet, but it worked, so I have to put it in. My feet may be far from your door, yet I keep in my heart the lessons you taught me when I was a boy in your arms. Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, Lenora. Everything I'm bringing and every song I'm singing's for ya. My life's still a mystery, and all of my history's with you. The love that you gave me has saved me, it's pulling me through. My sisters, I remember dancing in the kitchen with my sisters, oh my lovely sisters. When I got in trouble, they were right there bitching and snitching. Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, Lenora. Ocean and moonlight are calling your names from the shore. I'm in some foreign place. You see, I don't know a face where I am. Yet all that I'm needing is leading me home once again. To my sisters, oh my sisters, dancing in the kitchen with my lovely sisters. When I got in trouble, they were always snitching. Lola, Lynette, Leonora, Lita, Lenora. Everything I'm bringing and every song I'm singing's for you. Some foreign place, and I don't know a face where I am. Yet all that I'm needing is leading me home once again. Well, all that I'm needing is leading me home once again. All that I'm needing is leading me home. Lolette, Lynette, Lillian, Lorna, Lita, Lenora. This is I tell you what, I love this tune because of the viola solo they had in it. That really sold it to me, right? But then later I listened to the lyrics and I was like, wow, those are pretty heavy too, man. So I decided to do it, and it's by Iris DeMint. My life must count for something, yet in this world I feel so small. And my life is only a season, a passing November that none shall recall. But I gave joy to my mother, and I made my lover smile. And I can give comfort to my friends when they are hurting, and I can make it seem better for a while. My life is half the way traveled, yet I have not found my way out of this fight. And my life is tangled in wishes, with so many dreams that never turned out right. But I gave joy to my mother, and I made my lover smile. And I can give comfort to my friends when they are hurting. I can make it seem better. I can make it seem better. And I can make it seem better for a while. Here's a jazz tune for you. G. To spend one night with you in our old rendezvous and reminisce with you. That's my desire, to go where gypsies play, down in that old cafe. We'll swing out till break of day. That's my desire, to sip a little glass of wine, then look into your eyes divine. Feel the touch of your lips on mine, to hear you whisper low just when it's time to go. Sherry, I love you so. That's my desire. To spend one night with you in our old rendezvous and reminisce with you. That's my desire, to go where gypsies play, down in that old cafe. We'll dance till break of day. That's my desire, to sip a little glass of wine, then look into your eyes divine. Feel the touch of your lips on mine, to hear you whisper low just when it's time to go. Sherry, I love you so. That's my desire. Some New Orleans R&B. tend to mine, everything gonna be just fine. I went to a jeweler to buy you a diamond ring. Your mama looked at it and said, boy, where'd you get that thing? She don't wanna see me with you. She don't wanna see me with you. No, no. Well, if she tend to her business like I tend to mine, everything gonna be just fine. Papa told his son, go and get my gun. There's work to be done. We're gonna make that joker run. He don't wanna see me with you. He don't wanna see me with you. Well, if he tend to his business like I tend to mine, everything gonna be just fine. 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 Yeah. This is one of Alan's tunes, Alan Toussaint, right? The touch of your lips next to mine gets me excited, darling, makes me feel fine. The touch of your hand, your sweet hello, the fire inside me when you're holding me close. Your love so warm, so tender. The thrill is so divine. Yeah, it is all these things make you mine. Well, if you should leave, you know I surely would die. When you were 10 minutes late, baby, I started to cry. And I've got it bad, but it's alright as long as you're with me every night. Your love so warm, so tender. The thrill is so divine, yeah. It is all these things, all these things that make you mine. thank you guys so much. I thought we had more time, but we're gonna wrap it up real soon. So before we do, you know what? I like to do two. Can I do two more?
Don't ask me. I don't run the
Yeah. Is that okay?
It's okay.
I'd like to do a Leonard Cohen tune for you, man. Can y'all sing one with me?
Sure.
I know you guys can sing. I know we're further north than Toronto, right? But I found that out today, man. Yeah. Wow, we up there, bro. Yeah, but this tune I really love, man. Y'all can help me sing this one. I won't go through all the verses. I'll just go through ones I like, maybe. They say there was a secret chord that David played, and it pleased the Lord. But you don't really care for music, do you? And it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, a minor fall, a major lift. The baffled king composing hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Yeah, y'all can sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Your faith was strong, yet it needed proof. There she was, bathing on the roof. Her beauty in the moonlight overthrew you. She tied you to her kitchen chair, broke your throne and cut your hair. And through your lips she drew the hallelujah, hallelujah. Come on, y'all can do better than that. Hallelujah. That's what I'm talking about. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Babe, I've been here before. I walk this room and I know this floor. I used to live alone before I knew you. And I've seen your flag on the marble arch. Yet love is not a victory march. It's a cold and a lonely hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Maybe there's a God above, yet all I've ever learned from love is how to shoot at someone who outdrew you. It's not a cry you hear at night, and it ain't someone who's seen the light. It's a cold and a lonely hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. There was a time that you would let me know what was going down below. Now you never show that to me, do you? Remember when I moved in you, and the holy dove was moving too, and every was hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. You say I took the name in vain. I don't even know the name. And if I did, well, really, what's it to you? There's a blaze of light in every word. Does not matter what you heard. The broken are the holy hallelujah. Hallelujah, yes, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. I did my best, though it was not much. I tried to feel, yet I could not touch. I told the truth, you see, I did not come to fool you. And even though it all went wrong, I'll stand before the Lord of Song with nothing on my tongue but hallelujah. Hallelujah. Sing it like you mean it, y'all. Hallelujah. You must mean it, huh? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I want to just thank you all for coming out tonight. I really didn't expect a sold-out crowd, you know. First time up here, and nobody knows me. And I want to thank Todd and Eva and Dan. Stand by your man. And Kirsten and everybody who was 20 summers for bringing me up here. It's been a real good experience. It's nice to get out of the heat and humidity of New Orleans. You know? And past my steps, by my porch, in front of my door. Hey, church bells are ringing and the choir is singing while a preacher groans and a sister moans in a blessed tone. Hey, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, listen here. Down in the trim maze, me and my baby, I will all go.